we have a phenomenal guest today. The wonderful Sheldon Crocker is going to share with us some of his life experiences and wisdom and how powerful words have been through his life. So, Sheldon, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are now?
Name is Sheldon Crocker, living in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. I am a keynote inspirational soul speaker. I'm a published author, and I'm a human integration specialist. You may wonder what an integration specialist is. Well, I just took the word inclusion. I know that inclusion and integration is similar. Just because a person has a physical disability, I only speak of physical disabilities. It's all I really have knowledge with. My own personal experience is what I mostly talk about. Discuss about integration and believing that everybody should be considered equal. I believe that we are all equal. Just because a person has a physical disability, they may have other unique ways of doing things. Like as for myself, I'm not physically able to really raise my arms any higher than my chest, but I can walk around a mountain. I might not be able to climb a mountain, but I can walk around one.
And you have.
You know? So that's the kind of things I speak about, is that just because a person has a disability, it doesn't mean say that they are disabled. Because I don't believe in disability. Mm-hmm. I believe that it's mostly is in if you think you can do it, you can do it. Yeah. Might not be done the same way.
And who says anybody's righter, any better than any other? Right. There's a very good point. We had one speaker on Your Words Have Power who was talking about the fact that she grew up in a household of 18 from birth to 92.
Right.
And she pointed out that when we're teeny tinies, adaptations are made for babies.
Yes.
We don't expect them to be up and walking, and as soon as they are, in go the stair gates.
Right.
And things get taken away from little people height.
Yes.
And then as we get older, we may have other adaptations made. And as we end up at the other end of life, those of us who have been able-bodied very often need adaptations. A stick, glasses, for goodness sake. Everybody has some form of adaptation made within society at some point in their life.
That is right. That is right. And we all got a disability of some sort.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
if that's the way you want to view, if that's the way you want to view disability, then yes, all of us have a disability at some point in our lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could be mental, it could be physical, it could be emotional. There's different types. And I look at myself as, yes, technically on paper, I have a disability, but I consider myself to have disability. I have disability to step outside my comfort zone. I have disability to help other people recognize their own greatness. And that's what I speak about. That's why I do most of my speaking, to help empower others to recognize their own inner greatness, to be able to use their inner voice to reach their goals and dreams, and knowing that there's always a way to keep going forward.
Absolutely. So on that front, if I can pick up on that, what was your earliest memory way back when you were teeny tiny? The reason I'm asking, let's put some context on this for you.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is because those earliest memories stay with us, because we make up a decision about what's happened,
right,
and tell ourselves a story about it from the position of that 2, 3, 4-year-old.
Right.
So I'm curious, what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memories, they weren't very pleasant. I don't have any pleasant memories of my childhood. My father was an alcoholic. He used to come home drunk.
What decisions did you make as a result of those early memories? What were the things you were telling yourself as a result of what you experienced?
Okay, well, my father would often tell me that I would never be anything besides a disabled welfare bum. And I was being born an only child and growing up in a small town, I was the only person there with a physical disability, so I was laughed at and picked at and bullied my entire childhood. My mother didn't feel like she had any control in her life, so she would take her frustrations and anger out on me. Because of her marriage life, my father was physically bad towards her, so she would take it out on me. Mm-hmm. So I was very silent as a child. I didn't allow myself to speak up, because if I spoke up, I would get beat up. Yeah. So I learned quite early in life not to speak, and I learned to be silent because
it was safer.
It was much safer for myself, and I was afraid that it would, if I allowed myself to have friends as a child, then the saying "loose lips sink ship." Mm-hmm. Well, if I had loose lips as a child, and kids would bad to say that during these things. That it probably would have slipped out when my parents were like behind closed doors, and I would have got not in good condition when I got home. So my mother would always compare me to my cousins, and even if I received 80% on an exam and my cousins received 85, my mother would beat me. So I learned not to associate with anyone. So I discovered,
you became a loner. It was safer to be on your own, to not speak up, because you would never do anything in life.
That's right. I wasn't expected to go to work. I wasn't expected. Oh, you got a disability. You're not supposed to do it. I was on government assistance and disability payments since I was like 14 years old. Because he's disabled. He's never going to be able to do nothing for himself.
So expectations were not high.
No, there was no expectations for me.
Yeah.
I mean, even before them, the doctor told my parents that most likely he will never be able to walk on his own. Because I was born. I had a bar between my legs, connecting both shoes. I had braces on my legs since I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
And the only way I can get downstairs was to sit on my bum and pop my way down the stairs. You know? So, but it was only a couple of years ago, I done a 10-mile road race. Ahead of like 29 other people that I finished. It doesn't matter which place I finished in, but I finished the race even though I wasn't supposed to be able to walk.
So this is what I'm getting at, because very early on in life, those memories and the stories we tell ourselves can actually shape the decisions we make in life.
That's right.
Now, I'm hearing a bit of a rebel in you, because I've been told one thing and you're going, ha, watch me.
Right.
Has that always been the case?
I am a redhead. Redheads are stubborn and flighty. I'm not going to talk for all redheads, but I know as for myself, I've heard that quite often, that redheads are flighty and stubborn. And, feisty, fiery, yes. It is true for me, at least for one, that anytime that someone told me that I couldn't do something, who do you think you are? I'll show you what I can do. But the opposite was true, is that if somebody thought I could do something, I wouldn't feel the need to do it.
Right. So it worked both ways.
Right. If somebody pat me on the back and say, oh, good job, I was like, I guess I don't have to do anything. I don't have to prove myself now.
So proving yourself has been a theme all the way through life?
Pretty much, is up to just a few years ago, because of my father, even though most of my life I cursed him for saying things such as you'll never be anything, but it's only the last few years I come to why I look at it differently. It's like, well, if I never had all those things said to me, even though I wouldn't wish nobody to go through that, but if my father didn't tell me that I would never be anything, then I wouldn't probably have to drive and the determination to do it, to prove him wrong. So I took the words he gave me and I used it as the fuel to stoke my fire, to empower me to keep going further. That's why I don't take excuses from anyone. People come up with all kinds of excuses. I can't do this, or about themselves, they can't do this, they can't do that. It's like, right, you can't, you won't. There's no can't. There's no such thing as can't. Can't is a coward's word, I believe. Now I believe can't is a coward's word. So
it's what we tell ourselves, isn't it? When we're not giving ourselves, we're not backing ourselves to say, look, I'm going to risk this. I may fail. I may not do it how everybody else expects it to be done, other people's definition of failure, but I'm jolly well going to give it a go. And that's what I've seen in you in the couple of years I've known you, sir. As you said, put a barrier in front of me and I'm going to go, watch me get round it.
Go on.
I may not be able to get over it, but I'm jolly well going to go around it.
So I'm so sure I'm probably going under, but or I might go to a store and buy some dynamite and blow a hole through it. But
you want to get there the quickest way you can, don't you?
Well, I mean, I've had enough struggles in my life. It's time for me to start having a little bit of an easy journey. Which is where my life now is. It's much better than using using a rock as a pillow and sleeping in ditches and hiding away from my landlord and eating donuts on sidewalks. That was quite the adventure.
All right. Yeah. Was that your lowest point?
That was, well, there's quite a few. Or opening up a can of turkey, cold turkey, processed turkey meat for Thanksgiving dinner while you're sitting in a dark room. The only light you had was a candle. Yeah, that's pretty low. You can't get much lower than that. I've been there. I've done that. But I'm not there now. Because I believe no matter as much troubles I went through in my life, as much struggles and traumas I've had, I always had hope. I discovered people always say, what about hope? What do you got? And I discovered the answer. The answer is nothing. If you have no hope, you have nothing.
Yeah.
But if you have hope, there's always a chance.
Yeah.
Even when I was lying down in the ditch drunk, I still managed to know that tomorrow was going to be something else. Tomorrow was going to be something else. I knew I was here for a reason.
Yeah. Well, good on you, sir. So can I ask then, you had that early experience of you'll never be anything.
Yeah.
Which you turned around and went, not having that.
Mm-hmm.
What did you swap that round for? How did you change that internal script? So what is it now that you say to yourself daily that moves you forward?
Well, funny enough, I'll try to answer this as concisely as possible, but I used to be, I was one of the most negative people that ever existed. I know I was. I used to be very, very, very negative about everything in life. I thought the world owed me a favor because I was born with a disability. I thought that, the world was out to get me because of the way I was born. Mm-hmm. But I had major trouble with drinking, and it was more than once I ended up in the hospital getting stitched up from falling down and beating myself up. And I went to an addiction treatment center across Ireland from where I'm living, the other side of the island where I'm living, and I canceled one of my appointments to go there because I guess I wasn't ready. It wasn't the right time. The bus showed up at my door to bring me, and I said, no, I'm not going. So I didn't go, and I went back to drinking again for 3 months later. And I'd go to the bar, and I'd push the beer bottle or the beer back and forth on the bar. I don't want it. I need it. I don't want it. I need it. I don't want it. I need it. I was doing that for months on end. Mm. And come to the point in time that I spent 4 days in a coma. 4 days in a coma in the hospital with alcohol. I'm going to use the word.
You were overdosed on alcohol, yeah.
Yeah. Right. The doctor told my parents that if I had one more drink, I would have died. The next week and after, I was drinking again. So it just came to the point that I was in contact with it's a place here where I'm living is an addiction treatment center, and we had a live-in program where you stay there for 4 months. Mm-hmm. And they helped me to see that there was actually people who cared about me. There was actually people who actually showed that there are caring people in this world. Mm-hmm. You might not know it at the time, but there's always someone out there somewhere that is willing and wanting to help you. Mm-hmm. And today is much easier because you got the internet and you got so much things at your disposal to use to do searches to find help. Yeah. But what really got it for me is I was asleep in my bed and I awoke. It's like, what's that noise? A bright flashing light flashed from my room, and this on literally came on radio. I still say this over 20 years ago, and I still say to this day that my radio not only was it not turned on, it wasn't even plugged in.
Okay. That was a word from upstairs.
Yeah. Well, you know the word delivery to the song Let It Be, I guess. There will be an answer. I was planning on canceling my ride again. It was that same day that I was going to go to the addiction treatment center. I made another appointment to go, and that was the day that it was. I was going to cancel again, but the flashing light and the stereo came on with that song. So I went and got on the bus. It was a 10-hour bus ride. It was not much fun. I showed up the day before I was supposed to. She said, no, you can't come here. I said, you're a day early. I said, I got no place to stay. I don't know anybody. So they put me up in one of the motels or hotels is there. At the same time, there was some team, some championship or something. And we were all drinking and partying, and room right next to where I was asked to stay.
Staying, yeah.
And I was went there to get away from drinking, and the room right next to the door to me, and he asked me to come over. I was like, no, I went down to the bar to get away from drinking. I told the bartender why I was in town, and he said, well, we always got fresh coffee here. And that's probably one of the first times I've ever drank coffee. But she didn't say, you want to. She said, no, you don't need to have a drink. I got all free for you all night, and you wanted to pay for it. So, okay.
Well, I mean, isn't that great? You took the courage to stand up and say what was going on. Yeah. And people, as you said, were there to support you, which is exactly your point that you were making, that we may not see them straight off, particularly at the time because you were looking through your beer goggles. Yeah. And now you realise that there are people out there who really do have your back and want to look out for you. So you were saying then that there are people around to support you. What other scripts have you got? You were talking about hope. What else are you telling yourself on a daily basis to empower yourself now?
It's like I started out talking about how I was one of the most negative people, but it's only about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I became the president of the Positive Thinkers Club out here where I live. And it was like, for the person who used to be one of the most negative people anywhere to become the president of the Positive Thinkers Club. That's 180.
Great.
So, and one of the major things that we do with our club here is every meeting was meeting once a month. But we always start off with positive affirmations in the morning.
Right.
So I'm have to learn positive affirmations from them, and such as like, I am powerful. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I am powerful. I can do this. I can overcome this. I shall overcome, or we shall overcome. You know, I just tell myself positive affirmations all the time. I keep reminding myself I remind myself of this state that my life used to be in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get in that state ever again.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
like a lot of people after they quit their addictions, they remember the good times. But I purposely try my best to remember the bad times.
Right, to stop you going back there again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those I am statements are so powerful, aren't they? Because that is then your identity. And one of the issues I have with AA is the admission every meeting that I am a recovering alcoholic. You're still saying I'm an alcoholic, and you're underlining, underscoring that description of yourself. So that's the one thing that I have a slight struggle with it, with the 12-step program that they run. So tell me some of your I am affirmations then. I am powerful.
I am powerful. I am worthy. I am enough. I have enough. I am successful. See, to me, success is not necessarily about how many cars, money you got, and jobs you have. Success is determined by however many obstacles the person is after overcoming in their life to keep going forward. That is what I can't say the word. Success is, right? You know?
Well, I mean, we all have our own definition, and I think that is a brilliant definition, because you, sir, have been round, been through so many obstacles in your life, and I truly honour your path on that one. So thank you for sharing those really empowering scripts that you now run. So you've done a pretty amazing walking feat. Tell us a bit more about that. For somebody who wasn't supposed to be able to walk, tell us about your walk.
My walk. I had a walk before my walk, actually, because I walked from the town I was living in to the capital city of the province that I'm living in, in order to stay alive, because I lived in a town for 7 years, and I don't remember even 7 days. I was like, people talk about having blackouts from drinking. I had a 7-year blackout. I don't remember nothing about it.
That's because you were drinking.
Well, I was consuming. That's the only thing I had. I wasn't eating. I wasn't. That's all I was doing was living on drink.
Right, you know? Got you.
A 7-year blackout is what I had from drinking too much. So I knew, okay, I can either stay in this town and drink myself to death, or I can attempt to walk to the town where my mother lives. Even though years ago, when I was in my childhood, it wasn't a good relationship, but I knew my mother would at least take me in. At least until I found a place of my own where we get some help, treatment or whatever for drinking. It's like a 3-hour car ride. So I don't know. It took me like over 20 hours to 24 hours to walk it. I left 8 o'clock in the morning and I arrived the next town at 8 o'clock the next morning. So here approximately, you know. So that was the walk before my walk.
How far was that?
Well, 3-hour car ride. I didn't actually. It's well over 100 miles, I guess.
Say again?
100 miles. I'm not sure the calculation.
Well over 100 miles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Golly.
It's well over 100 miles, but I walked it all anyway, the entire distance, and I needed a new pair of shoes when I got to the next town. I walked out my shoes. So that was my walk, but then I also I completed the tele. It's called the Tele 10. It's a the tele here the newspaper called Telegram. So it's a Telegram 10-mile road race.
And you ran.
Physically able to run.
Well, that's what I thought. I think is enough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Right. I walked the 10 miles. Just 10 miles is 16 kilometers. So I just woke up one morning and I was I'm going to go and do that race now. And I told people, no, you must have spent months practicing. I said, I just told myself I was going to do it.
You are a man for whom what you say to yourself is so important, and you embody the fact that your internal scripts have such power in your life. I really love that, and I really honour you for that, sir. That's phenomenal. So tell us, you've written a book. Tell us a bit more about your book.
My book is called, strangely enough, ironically enough, it's called Keep On Walking. It's a transformative and inspirational journey. I call it Keep On Walking for numerous reasons. One of the reasons is because the doctor said I would never be able to, but I did. Another reason is the metaphor is like, okay, say you might have to walk through 5 miles of manure before you get to the other side where all the pretty flowers are growing.
Yes.
But if you don't keep on walking, you just stand in the manure, you start sinking down and down and down. Before you know it, you're just covered in manure. Yes, like quicksand.
Yeah.
But if you keep going, you get to where the bounty is too. You get to where the abundance is too. You get to where the pretty flowers are too. So you might not be able to just keep on walking through all your troubles and struggles and traumas, and it's the only way you're going to, in my opinion, that's the only way you're going to be able to get to the other side. Is we could all live in the past, we could, but living in the past is not going to get us to the future.
Exactly.
Living in the past is not going to get us anywhere besides keeping us stuck in the past. So you need to keep on walking. So that's the metaphor for walking. And like I mentioned, the Tilly 10 race that I did, how I walked because the doctor told me I couldn't. So it's just really a combination of my addiction treatment journal, my adventure journal, is I traveled to Ireland. I had a dream when I was 12 years old. I woke up from one morning and I felt like more than a dream. I felt like I was like in an epiphany, like an awakening. Like, I'm going to be in Ireland for my 40th birthday. This is when I was 12. I woke up, I'm going to be in Ireland for my 40th birthday. I'm going to go to the Blarney Stone. And now I don't remember the exact full details. I know years ago there was the orange and the green, and I guess there still is. I'm not totally 100% on the details, but whichever color the Blarney Stone is for, is either the orange or the Catholic or the Protestants, whichever. I was going to be drunk. I was going to be wearing a shirt, say of the opposite color. So if it represents the orange, then I was going to be wearing a green shirt, or the other way around. And I was going to be drunk, and I was going to urinate on the Blarney Stone. This is in a dream when I was 12 years old.
And for those of our audience who don't know, the idea is that you kiss the Blarney Stone and it brings you good luck.
Yeah,
keep going.
Supposedly, but I urinated in the dream. I urinated in the dream. Somebody that was actually of the religion that Blarney Stone was watching me, and he killed me in my dream. Oh. Because it was disgraceful to their symbol.
Sure.
So I went to I held on there for 28 years. Like, most people don't remember their dreams next morning when they wake up. 28 years later, that was still in my head. I went to Ireland for my 40th birthday, and I made sure not to go anywhere near that Blarney Stone. I didn't go anywhere near that Blarney Stone. That's probably the only thing I didn't see in Ireland when I was there. Because I wanted to
you could always go back another time now that you put that distance between you and the grog, and you know that you can be there absolutely stone cold sober and sit.
Right. Yes, quite a possibility. So
somebody's going to have to hold your legs though, because it's down.
Yeah, I heard you got to be upside down. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yes. It's
I didn't go there, and I arrived. I'm still here, so I arrived. Nobody killed me, so I arrived back alive. But I always wondered why I thought it was only like 4 years ago, I realized that I kind of did die when I was in Ireland when I was 40. What I mean by that is, once again, it's like a metaphor. My old way of thinking, me being the really negative person I always was, me being, the world owes me a favor, all that, the way of thinking just died.
Excellent.
So my old, and I came back a brand new man.
So you left the old Sheldon in Ireland and came home back to Newfoundland with the new Sheldon. I love it. And I was going to say, you flipped your script, you got that powerful, I am enough, all of those wonderful positive affirmations, and you've since written a book. I also believe you've got some poems out as well.
I do. Do you have my book yet?
I've got it on the Kindle, which is in the other room, so otherwise I would have brought it out. Beautiful. Well, what we're going to do, Sheldon, is when I pop this up onto YouTube, I'll stick all of this information in the show notes, because what's the best way for people to follow you?
The best way currently to follow me is through my email. That would have to be Sheldon S. Crocker, like gmail.com, or I'm
We'll
really
make
on
sure
it.
all that's in the show notes, so we can follow you through email. Obviously,
I'm on
buy
every,
your book.
yeah, I'm on every platform. I'm just find Sheldon Crocker, Sheldon Harris, Crocker. I'm everywhere. But I'll also like to speak about how I got an online course that is currently only a DIY, do-it-yourself course. But it's called this Lucky Number 7, the 7 strategies for how to develop DIS life and ability. This day, you know. So that's how I got to discover how to discover disability.
Love it. That's great.
That's on mastermind.com.
So that's roughly where I wanted to go with this. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful story of what started life as a bit of a crappy situation. You mentioned manure. I'm going to clip it further and call it crap. You started life with a crappy hand, but you have not sunk under it. You've used that, as you rightly said, as stepping stones to go, I'm not having this. I'm changing my script, and I know that there is hope every day. I am enough. I am powerful. You certainly are, Sheldon. Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with us, for your words. You do have power.
Thank you very much as well for having me here. I would like to say before I leave, though, I believe that we all have a story to tell. Some of us might whisper, while others may yell. I believe that don't let anyone else, don't let anybody tell you or dictate your life to you. Be true to yourself, know yourself, write your own story, tell your own story. Nobody says you had to, nobody says that you got to tell your story. But if you're not telling somebody your story, then in the long run, not only are you hurting yourself, you're also keeping gold from other people.
The world needs to hear your story as well.
Yes. So we all got a way to keep going and keep on walking.
Keep on walking. Thank you, Sheldon.